Welcome, Capricorn, to the month of August 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and or rising signs in the 10th zodiacal sign of Capricorn, the mountain goat, and or sea goat. And I want to mention that this is a redo and or re-recording this particular reading for August because my tablet was acting up and wasn't allowing me to record a sufficiently long enough reading. And also, this is my 1-year anniversary with my North Star Astrology channel, and so I wanted to make it special. So with that, I'm going to get right into it. This is how the moon starts out in your third house of communications, trailing in or coming from July 31st and on into August 1st. The moon starts out in Pisces in your third house of communications, which then opposes Venus in Virgo in your 9th house of higher learning, law, foreign travels. And so with this moon opposing Venus, you will have a very intuitive, expressive, and maybe even psychic ability to communicate in and through and with your siblings, also during short distance travels. But with this opposition and this point of awareness, as I like to say, and it's a 180, this reflective 180 point of awareness with this opposition to Venus in Virgo gives you that much more awareness of how you reflectively communicate and love the philosophies, perhaps, as this is the house of philosophy, and communicate, though, in a most genial, perhaps, way. And given that it's in, Venus is in your sister sign of the mutable sign of Virgo, you have this gentle, almost psychic way of bringing about what has been held back, or with, that maybe like a withdrawn feeling. However, you'll be able to challenge yourself to love what it is that you can communicate, and in a most loving way create some kind of dialogue, perhaps something you've been publishing. However, with this challenging opposition and with Mercury retrograde going since July 26th, you may want to still be mindful, and it's going to be a pretty good opposition. I don't see how it could really affect you much. Then on August 3rd, Mercury trines the moon. When the moon comes into your 4th house of the home in the cardinal sign of Aries and harmoniously trines Mercury in Leo, however, retrograde. However, even though it's Mercury's retrograde, but And so with this trine, it actually kind of offsets that retrogradeness. Still, you'll be able to harmoniously access or ask for resources from others, as this is the 8th house of others' resources, and possibly come to an emotional conclusion and receive benefits for some sort of home improvement, which will be very beneficial for any kind of renovations. Then on August 4th, the last quarter moon occurs in your 5th house of romance and creativity in Taurus. And any last moment creative projects that you had going on, they can come to a culmination. So that's at 12 degrees Taurus, 19 minutes. Then on August 5th, Venus, again in Virgo, this time trines that last quarter moon, as the moon definitely, travels through each sign approximately 2.5 days. So here it's still here in your 5th house to your 9th house. Now Venus trine the moon again with something to do, perhaps maybe a last minute long distance trip with a new romantic partner. And And then on August 7th, Uranus, of all planets to go retrograde, Uranus goes retrograde in your 5th house of romance and creativity. And what this might do for you is you might feel like you need to rethink and backpedal. It might make you backpedal and feel a bit reticent, and I don't know exactly. It might make you rethink whether or not you really either wanted to be in the romance, or might bring on a new romance as we're building toward the new moon. And then also on the 7th, Mercury sextiles the moon. Once the moon goes into your 6th house of work and health and service given in the mutable sign of Gemini, and sextiles Mercury in Leo. And with this also short but sweet positive sextile from the planet of mercurial intellectual thinking, you can once again ask for possibly a raise in your line of work and receive the additional resources. Then on Then on August 9th, Pluto, which has been transiting your 1st house in your sign, Capricorn, opposes the moon. Once the moon goes into your 7th house in your opposite sun sign of Cancer, also a cardinal, but this time water, cardinal water sign, moon in Cancer opposing the deep, delving, intense planet of Pluto in your 1st house of the self and body. So with this opposition, you now have the ability to emotionally connect your sense of self and not lose yourself, but in a sense, taking care of your body, which is your knees, and emotionally perhaps balancing your need for alone time versus emotionally being with others, as this is the house of others. Then on August 11th, the new moon occurs in your 8th house in Leo. So when the sun and moon come together, it's like a conjunction, or it is a conjunction pretty much, and that happens at 18 degrees Leo, 42 minutes, in your 8th house of others' resources. And that there is definitely a conjunction between the sun and the moon on the same day, as well as also what occurs on August 11th is a partial solar eclipse. And this is the symbol or glyph for a partial solar eclipse, looking kind of like a cherry. And how it may affect you, only you know this. I'm not really quite sure how it will affect you, but since it's in your 8th house, perhaps it will help you come to an understanding of others' values and in a new way accept others' differences. I'm not really quite sure, but it has something to do with your purpose in delving deeper, as this is the naturally residing Scorpion house. And then on August 13th, Mars leaves your 2nd house of your resources, or the money you earn, and leaves your 2nd house going into your 1st house in your sign of Capricorn. And when Mars enters your sign of Capricorn, it can kind of make you, if you have it natally as well, but it can kind of make you more serious and highly responsible, especially when it's in your 1st house. However, be very careful with Mars transiting your 1st house, because it can be rather impulsive. Minor accidents can occur to the body, injuries of the sort, and like putting your knee out or something. Capricorn, you rule the skeletal system, most importantly the knees. Maybe perhaps you might undergo a knee replacement or some kind of minor knee surgery. This has a lot to do with this, as Saturn is your ruling planet, also in your sign, and here Pluto. This could almost spell a knee surgery. And boy, do I know what surgeries are like. I've had several major reconstructive foot and ankle surgeries. And, but so worth it. Now I can jog. Woohoo! Anywho, on August 14th, Mars, now in your sign of Capricorn, trines the moon in Virgo in your 9th house. So now from the 9th house to the 1st house, a very harmonious trine occurs at 4 hours and 58 minutes into the day, midway through August. And now, again, now you'll have perhaps a very emotional, but in a sense, very pragmatic and down to earth, common sense, yet harmonious ability to take action and physically take yourself on a trip. And possibly, most likely, for business and pleasure. So this is then for that aspect. And then on August 16th, the moon, Mars squares the moon in the other cardinal sign of the air sign of Libra in your 10th house of career and ego and public standing. And with this Mars square moon, you now may want to be a little careful, as still the way of communication is a bit, So be mindful of being brash or stepping on anyone's toes, or beware of being too hasty, and try not to be arrogant and or ego-centered. Stay away from and humble your emotions when it comes to how you present yourself and your body language and posture. In other words, don't do any posturing within the career, within whatever career sector that you hold, and or what it is and how it is you hold some sort of public position. That's only just a little bit of a warning there. And then on August 18th, the first quarter moon happens in your 11th house of friendships, hopes, goals, and wishes in Scorpio at 25 degrees Scorpio, 20 minutes, which then proceeds to sextile Mars, now in your sign of Capricorn. So from the 1st to the 11th houses, you now have the ability to emotionally and positively take action with and through events and or group activities with, and perhaps create, stemming from the new moon over here, new friendships, and or within your friendships have much positive activity, and realize your goals, perhaps fitness goals, to the body. And in other words, like a gym experience or whatever. And then on August 19th, Jupiter in Scorpio trines Neptune in the 3rd house of communications in Pisces. And as you we all know Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system and also the sub-ruler to Pisces. And with this very harmonious water energy between the 11th and the 3rd houses, you now are communicating very harmoniously with your friends and any group endeavors. Then, also on August 19th, get out of here, Mercury retrograde. Ooh. Now, Mercury goes direct on August 19th, which means you'll be able to truly not really have to worry about signing documents or contracts with trepidation. You know, you can go forward with how you communicate about other or for others' resources. Then on August 20th, the Sun in Leo still trines the Moon. When the Moon goes into your 12th house of the subconscious mind and dreams to the 8th house. And with this harmonious trine, you can emotionally connect. You may want to feel more freedom within your perhaps say this will make you feel private, want to have some privacy, but harmoniously you will still be able to form or shine within the ability to create pleasure, not really quite sure how this will affect you, but that's on August 20th. Then on August 23rd, the Sun now leaves Leo and enters Virgo in your 9th house of religion and philosophy, higher learning and law. And after that, and which will also positively affect all of your signs in the earthy sign of Capricorn in your 1st house. After which, then on August 25th, Venus then, still in Virgo, trines the Moon. Once the Moon goes into your sign in your 1st house, wow, look at all this activity in the 1st house of the self and body. Venus trine the Moon. Again, much, perhaps physical growth, a love of foreign lands or travels, much long distance traveling. Then on August 26th, the Moon goes into and comes full circle and becomes full at 3 degrees Pisces, 12 minutes in your 3rd house of communications, which will really bring much communication in a much more fluid way, perhaps giving you the ability, now that Mercury is direct, much more of a, I'm not sure, notoriety in a positive way, something to do with well, I'm not really sure. Okay, but however, Mars on August 27th goes direct. And I forget when it went retrograde, but it went retrograde, so actions have been stalled in a sense. And if you have felt held back, as far as when it was in Aquarius, in your second house of money, now when it goes direct, you now feel like you can take on the world, and you feel like the world is your oyster. Definitely with Mars going direct on the 27th. And on the final day, on August 30th, Mars squares the moon once the moon goes into Aries. And so with that, you may feel a bit of a little bit of like a irritation with your dissatisfaction perhaps, and wanting to break free, maybe move, and move to a new home or something perhaps, or since you did remodeling over here when there was activity from other people's resources, you may feel, or maybe you may be turning, like house flipping, and reinvest, and maybe you were just doing something for physically doing your own carpentry, and maybe that's been frustrating. However, this is all just guesstimating. So with that, I want to thank you, and I hope that you will enjoy your entire month of August, and I'm glad I was able to give you a more full-on reading. So now, if you would please give me a like and a thumbs up, comment down below, and or subscribe. And just so you know, you are here. That's my sense of humor. I came up with that. And there's Earth, see? And the reason you are here is because you are the center of the universe. The soul is right here representing this dot. And you're the center of the universe. And here's your life's path in its progressed or progressive changing landscape, perhaps. And with that, and once again, I wanted to say this is my 1-year anniversary. And with that, I want to thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and looking up upon the North Star. And until next month in September, thank you so much.